Thank you, David. Steve Alm, you have the floor.
Okay, and it's so good to be here and not to have just 1 minute to testify, which is what we get when we go to lunch.
Turn on your mic, Steve.
It's on. And so
Go ahead and say what you just said, because
Yeah.
everyone should hear that.
It's nice to have a chance to talk about this in a little more detail, because at the legislature, it's busy, they have a lot of people. You get 1 minute to testify, and you have no chance to follow up when other people say things that are not true. Now, I'll take what was just said. I think Senator Quinlan, a House member, they looked at that. They didn't have the votes, which is why they killed it. They're busy. They have other things, money, everything else. So they realize, let's spend time on bills we can actually get an agreement. So I would expect when it comes back to get the same results, unless there's been some behind-the-scenes kinds of pressure or something that would change it. Now, just to respond to a couple things that were said by Representative Tarnas, there's no way he's going to be able to come up with answers to address our concerns, because what you're doing is legalizing a powerful drug and sending the message, now powerful drug, and sending the message to our kids that it's safe. It isn't. It is, and that's one of the challenges here. For some adults, it is recreational. But for many others, it's going to give them depression. It's going to increase the suicidal ideation. We're going to have more fatal car crashes. We can see that in other states. HPD has no way to test for marijuana. And even if they were able to get a search warrant and draw blood, it'll show the presence of marijuana. There's no agreed on correlation between this amount of marijuana and impairment driving like there is with alcohol. So, what the representative said about looking at data and research and facts, I totally agree with. And there were a couple of people testifying at the last hearing on the fact that some states have shown a decline in use. Well, Nora Volkov is head of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. She was the lead person talking about that. Well, last month, in January of 2025, she came out and wrote about that and realized that the methodology was flawed, and so you cannot look at trends from then. So this is the latest information. What Representative Tarnas is saying was accurate up until last month, and now Nora Volkov has disputed that. In looking at marijuana, when I was a judge for 15 years, I was more focused on meth and coke and alcohol. That was causing people problems. If meth was their biggest issue, we would say, no alcohol and no marijuana. We want you making good decisions. But it really wasn't that much on my radar screen. But then when I did my own research, and I would encourage you all to do your own research from credible sources, not from industry sources, like with cigarettes, but with credible sources. And I discovered there are a host of problems with the marijuana of today. Back when Representative Tarnas first introduced the bill 30 years ago, the THC content of marijuana was 3 to 4%. That is Woodstock weed. People would smoke it occasionally, maybe on weekends with friends. There were only 2.5 million Americans who were daily or near daily use. They count that 21 days or more in a month. Okay, fast forward to now and recently. The average potency of marijuana sold in stores is 20 to 40%, with concentrates over 95%. The marijuana of today is nothing like the marijuana of 30 years ago. It's just a totally different drug. And it's associated, credible research shows it's associated with a whole host of problems that I had no idea until I actually did the research. And this includes, among other things, teens, young adults, older folks, their use increases. There was a huge study done and reported last year, reported on in November, showing states that have legalized Teens, age 12 to 17, 13% more use. Young adults, 18 to 25, 22% more use. And you have problems like psychiatric disorders. And I'm so glad we have a doctor from the medical school here to actually give you the facts of marijuana use from a medical perspective. You have depression, suicidal ideation, schizophrenia. You have increases in fatal car collisions. As one of the House members put it, a drunk driver is dangerous. A drunk and stoned driver is even more dangerous. You have increased emergency department and hospital admissions. You have impaired cognitive and memory functions. You have chronic vomiting. Seriously, that is a huge problem for the folks that are doing it. You have an increased risk of heart attacks and strokes. And for the daily or near daily users, that is like 40% increase in your chances of getting a heart attack or a stroke. You have increased calls to poison control centers for children who have eaten marijuana edibles because they look like candy or sweets. Okay, fast forward to 2022. Now, there's 17.7 million daily or near daily marijuana users. That's up from 2.5 million in 2000. That means those folks are during the week smoking or taking edibles or however, they're going to work or they're going to school or they're watching, Netflix all day, whatever they're doing. When they're daily users, that is the main focus of their life. Now, it has now passed the number of daily drinkers, which is 14 million. So there's 17 million daily marijuana smokers. Now, of the folks that do smoke marijuana or use marijuana in America, 40% are daily or near daily users. 40%. And following the Pareto principle, which I'm sure, the 80-20 rule or however you guys have heard of it, those users account for 80% of all the marijuana sold in the United States. So when you're talking about passing this bill and they say it's adult use, but you're telling kids it's safe or it wouldn't be legalized, and they're going to get their hands on it just like alcohol, just like cigarettes. Following that, though, they get 80%. So if this bill is passed, the way it's going to make money, whether tax or use something else, is from those users. They're going to be the ones buying most of the marijuana from the marijuana stores.
And just checking on our time here, I want to be roughly
I'm
equivalent
just
here.
about done.
Steve, I think your minute is up.
Do we really want to be in the addiction for profit business? Because that's what it is. Do we really want to teach our kids that's a good thing to do? I hope not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.